Bloom is a fun roll and write game. It's a family-friendly game. It's a competitive game. It's a bit of a race, and I really enjoy it. It's a 2 to 5 player game, but you can also play it solo. I prefer it as a 2 to 5 player competitive game. The solo's a neat little diversion. It's just you're trying to beat your score. I'll go over the solo game in just a second. But really, the game shines as a 2 to 5 player game. It's colorful. There's the back of the box there for you. Comes with these colorful dice. Comes with a bunch of these pads here. Now, each pad is going to have a different arrangement of flowers, right? And that's important because if you're playing like a 3-player game, each player is going to get a different sheet from different pads, right? So you each have a different arrangement of flowers there. But you know, you can laminate this. You're going to play this game a lot. I mean, it is double-sided, so it'll last you a very, very long time. But you can laminate this and then use a dry erase marker to, it'll last you forever, right? And it comes with this handy-dandy manual here in English and Spanish. Juego del Dados. Here in the U.S., English and Spanish. And, gee, Alex, how do you play Bloom? Well, let's say we're playing a 3-player game, okay? We each get our sheet from the different pads because we want different arrangements. And then the first player, kapow, is going to roll all these dice. Now, the white die there is a wild, okay? In this case, it's a 3 wild. So that means you can mark off 3 flowers of any color. Now, if you choose any of the other colors, you're going to have to mark off that many of that specific color. So let's say we choose orange 4 right there. That means I would go on my sheet and I would mark right there 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 orange flowers. Okay, so that means the orange is gone. I've already used it, so the next player will have to choose one of these. Let's say they choose 3 pink. They're gonna have a different sheet with a different flower arrangement. So 3 pink. Let's see, right there. They can do 1, 2, 3. They can do that. Those are the pink ones. So 3 pink, they could do either that or that, right? You got 3 right there. Or I guess you could do these 3 here. There's 4 of them together, but you could do these 3 or these 3. Anyway, you would mark these off on your pad. And you keep doing that until one of the game end conditions is triggered. Now, the game ends in 2 ways. There's 2 ways the game can end. When a player has filled 4 beds, right? Because you'll see there's the game's divided into 6 sections there. Each of those sections is a bed of flowers. If you fill 4 of them, the first player to do that triggers the end of the game. Or if a player has marked off all the flowers of 3 colors. So let's say in this case, all the yellow ones, all the purple ones, and all the pink ones, then that triggers the end of the game, and then you do your score. Well, one of the ways that you start scoring in this game is like I hinted it. If you fill all the flowers in a bed, then you mark that first 3 there. Okay? So that means you're going to get those points at the end of the game. If you then later on fill that bed, all of the flowers in there, then you're going to mark off the 4 there. Okay? If you are the first player to mark off all the, let's say, pink flowers, if you've marked all the pink flowers, then you get to come up here and you get that first number there, which is 6. Now, everybody else on their sheet has to cross out that 6 because they can no longer get those 6 points. The first person to get all the flowers of one color gets the first number of whatever color they accomplish. Then the second player would get that second number. The third player would get that third number. Okay? So in 3 to 5 player game, each round you're going to choose 1 die. In a 2-player game, each player is going to choose 2 dice on on in each round, right? So if I'm first player, I roll all the dice, I choose one, then my opponent chooses one, then I choose one again, and then my opponent chooses the last one, and then we go into round 2, and they get to roll the dice. They're the first player. So that's the only difference between the 2-player game and the 3 to 5 player game. So it's quite interesting because it's open information, so you're going to see what your opponent is going for and what they're doing. So choosing which color you're going to go for, to try to get ahead of. You're at the mercy of these dice, okay? It is a dice game, so you're at the mercy of the dice. But because you can see what your opponents are doing, you may want to try to mess them up a little bit by choosing a color that may help you a little bit. Maybe not a lot, but a little bit. But it's going to, be a block for your opponent. So it just depends. You don't score a tremendous amount of points in this game. So at the end of the game, a couple of points may make all the difference. And that's where this here comes from. This little area here is important to consider. Each game, okay, you can re-roll. Even if you're not the first player, you can re-roll all the dice, okay? If you decide to re-roll, you're going to mark that off, and you're not going to get that one little point at the end of the game, okay? But you're allowed, if you got really, really crappy dice, on your turn, once per game, mark that off and re-roll the dice. The problem with dice is that, let's say you get 4 1s and, something else. When you re-roll, you might get something you want, but you're also giving the other players something they may want, unless you're the last player of that round, right? Then you might want to use that, because after your turn, you go to a different round, and then that player has to roll all the dice again. So, there's strategy. There's things to think about here in this game. The other thing is unhappy customers. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say you choose this 6 purple, okay? Well, there is no 6 purple flowers together here, okay? So, but you have to mark off 6. If you picked purple 6, you have to mark off 6 flowers. So let's say in this case we go here to the corner and we mark off these 6 here, which includes 2 orange. Okay, we marked off 6, but because we didn't give our customer exactly what they wanted, we have then, see the little unhappy face there? That's an unhappy customer. You have to put a little tick there for each flower that you did not give properly delivered to your customer. So in this case, there would be 2, right? Because if I went for 6 purple, there are 2 orange ones there, so I would put 2 ticks there. Anyway, those points are going to be deducted from your final score at the end of the game. Okay? So something to consider. This game has an interesting little balancing act when you play it. And you'll see when you try the game out, you'll see what I mean. The solo version of this, you don't use the wild. This is a wild die. So whatever you roll here, so if it's a 3, you can mark off 3 of any color. That's a wild, the white one. But on a solo game, you don't use that white one. You just use the 5 colorful dice. And you do it, you play different rounds, you try to get as many points as you want. That's why I think the competitive game is a lot more fun than the solitaire game, because the solo game, you're just going to play round after round until you trigger the game-ending condition, and then you're going to add up your points, and then, later on, you'll see if you can beat that score. Bloom is, like I said earlier, a fun, family-friendly, competitive little roll and write game. I've had a lot of fun with it. And if you like roll and write games, I think this is, on top there of the roll and write games available. I really enjoy it. Bloom, go get one.